This is a story you're potentially were never going to hear about. You have to really search it because it's not all over the place. TBN almost got scammed of over 500 million in their pursuit of greed and pursuit of worldliness. Okay, yeah, it's nothing to do with God. TBN was looking to secure a deal with a popular figure on television by the name of Dr. Phil. The wealth of the wicked will be made the wealth of the righteous. Yeah, they pretty much forgot that and wanted to hand over the wealth of their own over to the ungodly and the wicked. And so Dr. Phil probably had no reasons to actually pursue that. If you actually look at what I'm going to show you here, you might come to the same conclusion. But yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. This story here tells you, be very careful of the teachings that you get told. You know, the wealth of the wicked. When they went out of Egypt, or they went out with the wealth of the wicked. Why do you want the wealth of the wicked so badly? Now look at them. With all those fake prophets who portray themselves on TBN. None of them prophets came through to TBN and said, excuse me, you are about to get into a deal that's not going anywhere. Dr. Phil has a show, the Dr. Phil Show, right? Inspired, of course, or pushed forward by yours truly, Oprah Winfrey. And I don't know if biblical counsel doesn't do it now. You know, I don't know if that doesn't do it. Like, biblical counsel is not it. Now you have to source from the world. TBN was interested in starting a venture. TBN was interested in starting a venture with Dr. Phil. TBN was very interested in the library of Dr. Phil's content, as far as even streaming or starting a streaming service with Dr. Phil. Except for me to tell you now that there is now lawsuits that have been filed, as you can see right there. Trinity Broadcasting out of Texas, incorporated over there, is the defendant, and the plaintiff is Merit Street Media. Is an organization that TBN and Dr. Phil were looking to start. And as you can see, the paperwork that I just showed you says Bankruptcy, the United States Bankruptcy Court of North District, Texas. Where were the prophets to tell TBN, don't get involved with this man them? Now, you may be wondering, why am I talking about a bankruptcy thing when here it says almost 500 million? You see, they were about to get into a deal with Dr. Phil, and they had a deal, and they were looking for a little bit of the old library that Dr. Phil had when he was with CBS, right? Dr. Phil's show was under CBS, so CBS haven't put the money to put forward that show, are the ones that own the rights of the content that Dr. Phil shot. If TBN wanted anything to do with that particular content, they would have to talk to CBS. Now, I don't know why this didn't knock to them that's exactly what TBN should be doing, but for some reason they thought they could bypass and get that straight from Dr. Phil himself. Dr. Phil is just a talent. He's not the one running the partnership. Will benefit not only from new content. I'll show you some of it mentioned in the paperwork there, in the court paperwork. You can go and research it after. By the way, this is something that's just happening right now. As we are speaking right now, it's happening right now. So TBN was looking for the old library and the new library that they were willing to shoot. Now, according to their contractual obligation to each other and so forth, TBN was supposed to construct a studio particularly for this show to run on and stuff like that. And after they constructed this TV show, this studio, they were supposed to shoot about a couple of episodes. I think it's 100 and something, if I am not. And act quickly, amongst other things. Mike Crowley falsely represented the TBN that CBS would pay him $75 million per year to renew his contract, and TBN must, immediately sign some forms of binding agreement with this particular individual immediately and pay him $20 million as a gesture of good faith to show that TBN is ability to pay and commit to the deal. Now I don't know if they lost that 20 million because it was supposed to be paid immediately, as it says over there. It says, pay it immediately. So they already 20 down. The wealth of the wicked. The wealth of the wicked shall be what. Okay? Now, when they got into this deal, Dr. Phil was not all round honest, to be straightforward, because Dr. Phil portrayed himself as a person who could get investors outside, and he used that to his advantage to tell TBN, because TBN owned a majority of the stake of this whole new thing that they were about to do. They owned about 70%, and you can see it down in the paperwork. They owned about 70%, and Dr. Phil owned about 30%. Now, because of this, then Dr. Phil tried to convince TBN, because he's able to get certain people involved in the project, get certain monies invested. The estimation was roughly about 400 and something million. He had estimated that he could raise about 400 million, as he claimed. 400 million. 400 millies. I have never counted that high. I'm not going to start. And so 500 million over the course of 10 years, if Persky performed his obligation under the in the words of legal talk, when they're writing their thing, they tend to forget. We can't read. It's not meant for us anyways. That 30% interest that's very combined with contribution of capital and the media library to midstream, and then the 50 million per year, that was supposed to be paid, was compensation for the new content that he would be doing. And it states how many episodes. I think it's about 160. So there it is. It's about 160 episodes that they were looking for. You see that. So Dr. Phil says, no problem, I'm going to raise the money. Now he gets them to relinquish, to switch these positions. He gets them to say, hey, I can go as far, as a matter of fact, to raise the money myself, and then you guys switch the ownership. So TBN takes 30% and Dr. Phil takes 70%. They went into that type of an agreement and the whole nine jazz, and they had actually planned this out to have this entire distribution and whatnots. This was back in 2024. You can see Merit Street whatnots, and the news were coming off. They wanted to start their streaming and the whole nine jazz. Now, this particular whole thing about stakeholding and switching of percentages and whatnot, you can see it right here in this particular paperwork. You can see them talking about stakeholder number 1, stakeholder number 2 being TBN, and then the second one being Dr. Phil over there. Now, at this point, you might have thought maybe things were going very well, right? But you will remember, Dr. Phil had promised that he was going to raise the 500 millies. He had said that he was going to bring about 500 million. Dr. Phil switched up. Dr. Phil changed up on TBN. In messages that were later obtained by the court, it is clear that Dr. Phil was now out to kick TBN out of the deal. You see in messages revealed to the court there, I am here working on the project to get rid of TBN. Ooh. Ooh. How say can you see? I think that's the national anthem of the Americans. He was out being dodgy, man. Dr. Phil was being dodgy. Dr. Phil had committed the unpardonable sin of being an unfaithful person in the workspace. Mandem was out there talking smack, saying, no, these people are ungodly. They are very judgmental. Where is that part? He's part of his messages where he claimed thingy. As a matter of fact, here, there's another particular thing from the court papers. They speak about the switching of the shares ownership and whatnot. And Dr. Phil saying that he was going to raise money and whatnot and stuff like that. And guess how much of that money did he raise? 5 million. Because he claimed that the people that had interest in buying some or investing into it, they found other ventures to invest into. Oh, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? Because as you can see, the switch was done. There is the switch. The percentage for TBN, the percentage for Dr. Phil, total value and everything, and the payment and all 9 jazz was done. But Dr. Phil was sitting on the sideline saying, I need to get rid of them folks. Now you wouldn't believe what Dr. Phil was saying about them. Now remember, I'm asking this question, where were the prophets? The prophets that would be on TBN claiming, why were you not prophesying to your station? Yeah, mandems. Listen to what Dr. Phil was saying, sent by an iPad. You can never trust an iPad. Who? Dr. Phil was saying, I'm so glad to get these changes underway. He says, these TBN folks are so over their heads and so judgmental. I just can't stand it. That's what Dr. Phil was saying. Phil, why would you do it? Phil. Oh, Phil. 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 He said they're so judgmental. I can't stand them folks. The wealth of the wicked. Oh, they were saying you wicked over there. He says, be sharpening up a loud press and release announcing to in some way that I have made a gangster move. Dr. Phil says, I went gangster on them. I went gangster on them folks. And taken a majority ownership position in MSN, okay, diminishing TBN to a passive minor investor role. We will release it at a right time. So he was like, you know what, I'ma keep this, but I got TBN where I need them. Where were the prophets for TBN? Where were the prophets when them folks were getting slayed? The wealth of the wicked. That's what Dr. Phil was out there saying. Dr. Phil was starting to talk smack. Dr. Phil breached contract. He had claimed that he could raise funds. He couldn't raise nothing. Only raised 5 million. And now Dr. Phil wanted out of this deal. And he was saying, I'm going to do it at my own time. He was saying, I'm going to do it at my own time. He was talking all kinds of smack. Never mind that by this period, TBN was bleeding money over this entire thing. trying to build sets and whatever they were doing in order to get this entire project done. Why was Christian counseling not enough? They had to be going around. You can see this is recent. You can check the date up there. We check the date up there. This is very recent. Two biggest assets are our claim against TBN and PBR. The biggest creditor is me. Second is contributor group to see me. We are immediately relaunching in rejoining ventures and mid co. It now involves another different thing. He says the broadcasting center, what Broadway, and the sounds. He starts talking. Dr. Phil was talking smack. Dr. Phil was on his game. Like he said, he played a gangster move on them crouches. The crowds. What is the crowd? What's the name of the crowd? What's the name of the TBN guys? In greed, they continued to pursue this thing and they almost got smacked. Later on, not very long ago, in October, Dr. Phil was now interested in different things. Dr. Phil across and of Envoy Media.co for a long-term distribution deal with character blah 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 blah, completely dumping TBN. This was in October. In October, we was launching Envoy TV. That's what he did. So contrary to what he was trying to do with Thingy. Where were the prophets that TBN be putting out there? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. They know everything about you. Oh, I see a lady sitting on that chair. No lady sitting anywhere. They be out there lying to you. Some of these false prophets. Right there in front of them. They were about to get scammed. I wonder, did they pay that entire 20 million? Because it was supposed to be paid immediately. Yeah, I can go research this story a little bit further. I'm only touching on basis. There are people who are lawyers who have done deep dives. Legal Eagle did an entire episode where they are breaking down the legal aspects of the whole thing. And so you can check it out on YouTube. I'll leave Legal Eagle's video down in the description below. Why was Christian counseling not enough? Why did you need worldly people? Almost get scammed. Almost lost yourself half a billion almost went while still claiming wealth of the wicked. Strict Reality Show with the daily Christian commentary videos. Other episodes down today, they'll be down in the pinned comments. I'm going to check you out over there. Y'all tell me your thoughts and I'll see you later.